All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Late night signals whisper through the sky, stories of the unknown drifting by, from shadows deep to stars above. The truth and mystery of what we dream of. From a humble start on AM air, a voice in the night reaching everywhere. St. Catherine's heard that distant tone. Rob McConnell's voice, the X Zone. Through the years, through the miles, through the questions and the trials. Now we're back on 12:20 a.m. Classic sound, it begins again. CFAJ, your hometown radio, where the truth and the strange still flow. From Ontario skies to the great unknown, with Rob McConnell on the X Zone. In 33 years, the journey's long. Rob kept the signal steady and strong. Through every guest, through every call, sharing the mysteries with us all. From haunted nights to cosmic light, he's chased the dark, he's chased the bright. And now the dial comes full around, back where the signal was first found. Every mile, every show, led him back to what we know. Now we're back on 12:20 a.m. Classic sound, it begins again. CFAJ, your hometown radio, where the truth and the strange still flow. From Ontario skies to the great unknown, with Rob McConnell on the X Zone. Across the dial through night's embrace, 1,000 stories time can't erase. From truth seekers to voices bold, every secret waiting to be told. From coast to coast the signal flies, connecting minds beneath the skies. And every night that mic turns on, Rob McConnell carries on. Turn the dial, hear the call, mysteries waiting for us all. From then to now, he's never gone, just riding the signal, carrying on. Yeah, we're back on 12:20 a.m., right where the story begins. CFAJ, feel the tone. Rob McConnell's X Zone. From past to present, the legend's grown. 33 years and we're back home. So listen close, you're not alone, with Rob McConnell in the X Zone.
And welcome to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell, and for the next 2 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we will cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight, right here on the CanCon Broadcast Network. and your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ AM. And they stream us at classic1220.ca. Now, if you'd like to send me an email, the email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and on all social media sites, Xzone Radio TV. Xzone Nation, my guest of this hour is Phil Humphries, and we've had the pleasure of having Phil on the show before. And he is a former CIA officer, a former law enforcement officer. He's also... he's done investigation, security work, and much more. So joining us now from the great USA is our friend Phil Humphries. And Phil, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Rob. It's a pleasure to be here.
Before we get to talking serious kind of stuff like you and I always do, Phil, I'd like to read a couple of the funniest laws people still talk about in the United States, because I know you're a former law enforcement officer as well as a CIA officer, and I thought that I know up here in Canada we've got crazy laws as well, but because you're with us, and let me see what we have here in Alabama. It's illegal to drive while blindfolded. Did you know that? Now,
I did not.
Now, this sounds ridiculous until you remember apparently somebody had to do it before the lawmakers decided to outlaw it. Let me see. In Arizona, donkeys may not sleep in bathtubs. Now, these are laws that are still on the books, X-Zone Nation. The odd law dates back to the 1920s after a donkey sleeping in a bathtub was swept away during a flood, leading to an expensive rescue. Okay. In California, this one here should hit home with a lot of people who love frog legs. Frogs that die during frog jumping contests cannot be eaten. Apparently, California lawmakers anticipated that someone might want frog legs after the competition. Way too much time on their hands in California. Florida. This one here. I saw it and I said, you've got to be kidding. It's illegal to tie an elephant to a parking meter.
Who would have thunk?
Who would have thunk, eh? Yeah. If you tie your elephant to a meter, technically you'd be expected to pay for the parking fee. Oh, come on. All right, Georgia. It's illegal to keep an ice cream cone in your back pocket on Sunday. The strange law reportedly dates back to horse theft. Thieves could lure horses away with the cone sticking out of the pocket and claim the horse was simply following them.
I see.
Okay, and let's go to Illinois now. Here we go. Illinois, it's illegal to give a dog whiskey. Someone apparently decided dogs deserved better than bourbon. Okay. In Indiana, the value of pie was almost legislated. In 1897, an Indiana legislature introduced a bill that effectively redefined the mathematical equation pi. Fortunately, the state Senate never approved it after mathematicians objected to it. In Kentucky, a person must bathe at least once a year. Okay, and, not exactly a demanding hygiene standard in Kentucky. In Louisiana, it's illegal to rob a bank, then shoot at the bank teller with a water pistol. Now, I'm going to read that over again. It's in Louisiana, it's illegal to rob a bank and then shoot at the bank teller with a water pistol. Let me see. Apparently, lawmakers in Louisiana want to close up every loophole. In Massachusetts, these are real. In Massachusetts, snoring can technically violate some local nuisance ordinances if disturbing the neighbors. No one is likely to be arrested for snoring, but loud nighttime disturbances have occasionally been cited under local laws. And I wonder if that applies to the seedy motels that they have in Massachusetts. Okay, Here we are. M for Minnesota. It's illegal to cross state lines with a duck on your head. Now, I'm not making these up. These are real laws. Once again, X-Zone Nation. I wonder if this is where the name Quackpot comes from. It's illegal to cross state lines with a duck on your head. One of the most famous oddball laws though rarely, if ever, enforced. I wonder why. Is it because there's not a head that a duck would land on? Okay. Missouri. Oh, you're not allowed to wrestle with a bear. Probably excellent advice, whether it's legal or not. Mm-hmm. Nevada, it's illegal to ride a camel on the highway. The law dates back to the 1800s when the U.S. Army experimented with camels in the Southwest. Okay, Oklahoma, it's illegal to make ugly faces at dogs. Yeah, one wonders how officers would determine exactly how ugly is too ugly. In Tennessee, sharing your Netflix password used to potentially violate a state law aimed at unauthorized access to subscription services.
That's closer to reality than some other,
Well, of course, it's Tennessee. Let me see. Texas, crime doesn't pay, but according to Texas law, neither does crime promotion. Texas has a law making it illegal to commit or promote certain criminal acts for commercial gain, leading to jokes that criminals shouldn't sell autographed copies of their exploits in the state of Texas. In Utah, birds have the right of... wait a second here. In Utah, birds have the right of way on state highways. A sensible law unless you're driving... waiting to, wait for an entire flock of birds to cross. In Wisconsin, okay, what's it in Wisconsin? Oh, here we are. Serving margarine as butter in restaurants was once prohibited. Wisconsin's dairy industry has always taken butter very seriously. And let's have some honorable mentions here. These are famous, but historians generally consider them myths or impossible to verify. Fish may not whistle in Vermont. Women need a permit to wear false teeth in Maine. It's illegal to eat Kentucky Fried Chicken with a fork in Georgia. You cannot carry ice cream in your back pocket in every state, and it's illegal to sing off-key in North Carolina.
Your tax dollars at work.
Yeah. Unbelievable. When we come back from this break, we have to take, thank heavens. Our guest, Philip Humphries, and I will be discussing more serious matters as the X Zone continues. For today and every day, Monday through Friday, from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight, right here on the CanCon Broadcast Network. And you know what? We're also carried and streamed around the world on your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ AM. And they're right here in St. Catharines, Ontario, just down the street from where we are. So Philip and I will be back after the short break. Don't go away and don't go quackers on us.
Late night signals whisper through the sky, stories of the unknown drifting by, from shadows deep to stars above. The truth and mystery of what we dream of. From a humble start on AMR, a voice in the night reaching everywhere. St. Catherine's heard that distant tone. Rob McConnell's voice, the X Zone. Through the years, through the miles.
Hi, this is Ken Elliott. When I'm floating around the universe, I always try to tune in to Rob McConnell.
Hi, ho there, Twinkie Frog on Sesame Street. When I want to find out what's going on with UFOs or ghosts, I listen to the X Zone with Rob McConnell.
This is Les Corrigan from Target Internet Development. You're listening to Rob McConnell on the X Zone Radio Show.
This is John Hogue, prophecy scholar, and you're listening to Rob McConnell in the X Zone.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
They say Mandela died in prison back in 1983. Yet history books keep telling us he lived to set men free. How could millions all remember a world that never was? That single strange collective memory started all the buzz. Now people talk of timelines, worlds colliding in the night, tiny cracks in human memory or dimensions out of sight. From children's books to movie lines and logos rearranged, something in the fabric feels familiar yet has changed. We're shifting through the cracks tonight, searching for what's real, trying to understand the things our memories still feel. Are we living parallel lives in worlds just out of phase? Or is the human mind rewriting yesterday's old days?
Welcome back, everyone. Philip Humphries is our special guest. And Philip, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the USA. I'm a retired CIA senior officer. Traveled the world, lived on both coasts, been a cop, street cop, a sergeant of patrol, a detective, undercover narcotics investigator. And nowadays that I've retired from CIA, I'm fooling around with on-air personality, acting, and comedy.
Wow, that's a large jump from being a cop and then being with the CIA and everything. As a police officer, I'm sure that you had more than your share of strange, weird, and wacky moments. What was the funniest or the most ironic case that you worked on as a police officer?
Oh, man, there's been so many. We had, in one of the jurisdictions where I worked, we had a gentleman that I don't think he was actually homeless, but he was on the streets just 24/7. And he was way out there in space. We called him Captain Kirk. And every now and then, we'd get a fight call, and it would be him, and he'd say, well, the planets were out of alignment, and that's why he punched the person or whatever. He was a comical character. He never did any serious harm. And, you know, it was one of those guys, I'm sure in your police career, you had some guys like that too.
Yeah, yes, we certainly did. One of the not so funny times that I can recall, mind you, when you look back, you kind of chuckle. We had this, there was this young gentleman who was deaf, and he loved walking the streets at night because there were many times where he was wearing no clothes. And he would whistle to kind of understand where he was. He had an acute sound of hearing, and he also had the white cane. So anyway, he used to love going down to the wharf and jumping in the water and swimming and cooling off and, you know, just behaving like that. Well, one day he's out there and he's whistling and he's using his white cane and he jumps off the wharf, or he usually doesn't. Somebody had parked a ship there.
Oh.
Yeah. Thank God he wasn't hurt. Thank God, you know. But that was just one of the many strange and wonderful things that you see every day as a police officer.
Yeah, you see everything there is to see. And, you know, a lot of the people that I thought were nuts.
Yeah.
Were now that I look back on it, they were probably saner than many of the politicians in today's world.
Isn't that the truth? Now, you worked undercover narcotics, if I'm correct, right?
Yes, sir, I did.
During your time on the force and working narcotics, was fentanyl a big thing back then?
No, in fact, I'd never heard of it. Back in my day, you know, I'm older, I'm 70. It was, you know, crack and cocaine and a variety of prescription drugs and Oxycontin and all kinds of stuff. Of course, marijuana,
cocaine,
heroin.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff that you would normally think of when you think narco squad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and was there the homeless problem there is today in the jurisdiction where you are?
No.
No way.
You'd have one or two on occasion that, you know, would be living on the street, but that was a rarity. Nothing like today. It just didn't exist. I don't know why, but it did not exist in the jurisdictions where I was. And it may have been prevalent elsewhere.
You know, I feel rather bad and sorry for the guys who are in policing today. You know, because they're more or less a paramilitary organization than they are in the police force. They wear flak jackets, they wear the combat gear, and you know they're equipped with automatic 9mm. They have the taser guns, and so much. And yet, when I was a cop, I don't know about you, all we wore was our blue shirt with our badge pinned on it. You know, we didn't wear a bulletproof vest or a flak jacket.
No, the vest came later for me, and I had a uniform.
Yeah.
And you know, we had a sidearm, but back when I started, that was a revolver. It wasn't an autoloader. We didn't have any machine guns or, you know, automatic weapons. We had a 12 gauge in the squad car.
Yep.
You know, we had a riot stick. We seldom, you know, I never shot anyone. No one ever shot me. You know, it was a different world. I think I inhabited the same policing world probably that you did.
Yeah, you know, it was the era where we actually walked a beat. We would walk through the commercial parts of the jurisdiction and shake the front doors and, you know, make sure the buildings were secured. And we'd check the vacant homes on patrol to make sure that they were, you know, okay as well. And it was totally a different time. I agree with you. And I don't know where it went wrong.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, today's society is far more violent, wanton violence than I remember dealing with. I mean, we had street fights and we had armed robberies and homicides and rapes and all the things that humanity has always, you know, suffered with. But it was not like it is today. I didn't have to, you know, throw on armor plates and go out and be prepared to do battle every night. I mean, you were always conscious of your surroundings and, you know, people, you know, could hurt you, and you understood that. But truly a different world. I did many of the same things you just mentioned. I rattled a lot of doors, you know, checked businesses downtown, checked people's homes that were on vacation. You know, like I said, no one ever tried to shoot me or kill me. It totally different world. And the biggest butt chewing that I ever got was from my sergeant, and it was for not shooting a guy.
You're kidding.
No, I mean, I was 20 something, and I, like all young cops, I thought I was bulletproof. And I got a call of a hostage situation, a domestic that potentially had hostages. It was out in the county. I was a county officer. And I arrived, and my backup, because, you know, we were thinly spread, was several minutes away.
Yeah.
And the guy comes out on the porch, and he has a scoped rifle. And he points it at me.
Oh, boy.
I opened my door and got behind it, which wouldn't have done anything against the rifle. Drew my handgun and pointed it at him, and I started yelling at him to drop the weapon. And after a couple minutes of me screaming at the guy, he did drop the rifle. But I did not. I was so focused on the rifle, I didn't see the nickel-plated .357 Magnum that he had in his waistband.
Oh, my Lord, man.
And he pulled that, and he was swinging it up towards me. And I remember at the time I had a double-action Smith & Wesson .357, and it was on double-action pull. It was like click, click, bang. Yep. I was through the click, click, and then he dropped the gun. I released the trigger, and the backup got there, and it turned out neither of his guns were loaded, which doesn't matter, legally. But, I felt pretty good.
Yep.
I didn't have to kill anyone, and he probably felt good that he didn't have to die. But my sergeant, he didn't see it that way. He thought I was nuts for not shooting him, and, I got a pretty good dressing down. I think the captain had a piece of me later. But, those were the days when, I could make a decision like that, and I'm pretty glad that, that I didn't have to shoot that man. I didn't get in police work to shoot people.
No, and, it's funny because people think because you carry a gun, wow. No, they don't realize the responsibility that comes with carrying that weapon on your side. They just don't realize that, it's got to be something horrific for you to even consider drawing that weapon to use deadly force. And it's a decision it's a decision, if it's the wrong decision, that lasts with the police officer for the rest of his life and the members of the family whose loved one was at the end of the officer's bullet.
I had a writer from the UK, Sid Tomlinson. He was a chief inspector at Lincolnshire Police Force. And, Sid, in his job in the UK at that time, it was in the 70s, he wasn't armed.
No,
he had a little Billy that went in a pocket inside his pocket, and that was his weaponry. That and what was between his ears. Everyone got along fine. Something happened to society between then and now that's not good.
My friends, stand by. We've got to take our break. X-Zone Nation, our guest this hour is my good friend Philip Humphries. And if you'd like to find out more about Philip, just Google him anywhere, Philip A. Humphries, and you'll be surprised at the wonderful information you pull up. This is the X-Zone. I'm Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you on the CanCom Broadcast Network and, of course, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, CFAJ AM here in St. Catharines, streaming us at classic1220.ca.
That single strange collective memory started all the buzz. Now people talk of timelines, worlds colliding in the night, tiny cracks in human memory or dimensions out of sight. From children's books to movie lines and logos rearranged, something in the fabric feels familiar, yet has changed. We're
My name is Michael Telstar, Canada's leading mentalist from Toronto, Ontario.
Hi, my name is Splenda, and you're listening to my dad, Rob McConnell, on the X-Zone.
This is Psychic Dorothy from St. Catharines, and you're listening to Rob McConnell.
Hello, my name is Holly Reeves, an astrologer from Astro For You, and you're listening to Canada's #1 paranormal radio show, The X-Zone, with Rob McConnell.
Welcome to The X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Are you calling from the night, a shadow on the edge of
Welcome back, everyone. Our guest is Philip A. Humphries, and if you'd like to find out more about our guest this hour, all you need to do is just Google him. He is on Facebook. He is on LinkedIn. He is on X. And tonight he's here with us here in the X Zone. And before we go on to the next topic, Philip, I'd just like to say that when I was a cop, I used to love the 8 at night to 8 in the morning shift. I loved that shift. And I worked in a community where it was a one-man car, and my patrol territory was 20 square miles.
Wow.
And you were police, you were fire, and you were rescue, all in one shot. And I'll tell you something, I never feared doing my job. I knew that as long as you used your head, and as long as you treated people on the other side of the badge like you would want to be treated, that things would work well. And all my years in law enforcement, you know, it was a great privilege to serve and protect.
Oh, yeah. I worked as a similar jurisdiction. Yeah. I've been in a single-man car most of my career, and covering, you know, wide swaths of territory by myself. And yeah, I agree. I was never fearful, you know, of doing my job, and found that, you know, most people were decent human beings. You know, only now and then would you run across someone who wasn't.
Right.
And yeah, I worked a midnight shift, a graveyard shift, whatever you might call it, quite often. And then I worked evenings, which was 2 in the afternoon to 10 at night for a long time too.
It's a great job for anyone who's looking for a job that is fulfilling and where you work with the public, and it's very gratifying. And I'd like to, you know, thank all the police officers out there tonight who are there to answer our call, and thanks, guys, for everything you do out there. As a police officer in a rural community, or was it like the country?
The county that I worked in, that I was speaking of, was about 450 square miles. The county seat, the main city, was at that time somewhere in the 90,000 or so range. And then there were a number of smaller jurisdictions scattered throughout the county.
During your time as a patrol officer, did you ever receive a report about a UFO or any paranormal activity?
Oh, yes. Working that county I was just talking about, I got a UFO call that was in the southern part of the county, which was more rural, and entire family swore this massive, multicolored, lit-up object hovered noiselessly above their home in their backyard. And I mean, the whole family was out there. It was mom, dad, the kids. I think maybe a grandparent even was there. The object was gone when I arrived. But I did go ahead and interview everyone and took a report, and it was, you know, formally typed up and filed at the agency.
Was there any other report on that shift where other people in the close vicinity also reported seeing that UFO?
Not that I recall.
No way.
This was a very rural piece of the county. So basically most people would have said it was a farm house. It was a regular home, but it was out in the county, and it was in the sticks, in other words.
Well, what is your personal take on UFOs? I mean, you've been in law enforcement. You're an officer with the CIA. Using that experience and any run-ins that you may have had, what is your opinion of what a UFO is and where they're coming from?
I think there's a couple folks out there that have said divergent things about what they are. And I think that they all could be right. I think some of it, maybe a lot of it, is advanced technologies that are human-made. I know for a fact that that's part of it. My former agency, CIA, had a large amount of files on UFOs, and they don't collect intelligence on things that don't exist. So they've got a lot of things to worry about at that agency, and they wouldn't waste their time on something that, you know, was fanciful. There are those that say that they're interdimensional, and there are others that say that they are time travelers. I think all of those are possible. If you know anything at all about even basics of quantum physics, you know that those things are possible. I think it's all the above, and some of them are probably extraterrestrial biologics, which you hear the government talk about. Some of them, yeah.
Do you think President Trump will actually release truthful UFO data to the general public in the near future? I mean, before his term is up?
I don't know, because there are a lot of folks in government, in my old community, that see politicians as part-time help. They're temporary.
That's true, right?
And it is true. And some things, if you were to be cavalier in how you release them, could have a bad impact on society. It could harm religion. It could harm people's, image of humanity and where we came from in our history. So whether he could get away with actually releasing the full truth and nothing but the truth, I don't know if that's even possible for any president or prime minister anywhere to do that. But let's just say that he can. I think that he probably will release as much as his defense and intelligence advisors tell him would be advisable. And that's the best I can do on that.
Do you think that there is a government conspiracy in place to keep the public aware? Keep the public away from the UFO phenomenon? And what would happen if tomorrow morning a UFO landed on what used to be the White House lawn, or on Parliament Hill, Red Square, Buckingham Palace, and no government in the world would be able to say they don't exist? How do you think that the world would react?
I think there would be a percentage that would react like they did to Orson Welles' War of the Worlds broadcast on radio. They'd panic and be fearful. I think some would scoff and say, they're trying to distract us from something else. But the majority of people would probably be fascinated, because it would be truly a historical moment.
The government usually has a plan for everything. Do you think there's a plan in place should the ETs or other terrestrial visitors decide to finally make their presence known?
I think so, yes. The government has a plan for everything, like you said.
Yeah.
Literally everything. And I think that it's not so much a conspiracy to prevent its release. It's normal classification. Government loves to classify stuff. So, especially if it involves defense and defense contractors and money and national security, things are classified. And I think it's not so much a conspiracy as it is just the government being the government and classifying things. And this is a biggie. I mean, what a shock, to find out that maybe there's 100 other species out there that are more intelligent than us.
Well, wasn't George Bush privy to an alien contact at a USAF air base in 1964?
Eisenhower. Allegedly met with, E.T.
Eisenhower wasn't president in 64.
No, but allegedly Eisenhower did have contact. And then I remember hearing about Bush, too, and a number of presidents that had some connectivity to the phenomenon.
What do you think that the proof of extraterrestrial existence would do with the defense contractors?
Well, since reverse engineering, that type of technology, I'm sure, is very profitable, if that was released, there would be a clamor amongst the people of the U.S. and Canada and the whole world, to make these technologies, especially if they could enhance life and have medical impact, make them public and accessible. And the defense contractors who have, made so much money, allegedly, from reverse engineering and manufacturing this stuff probably wouldn't see a lot of humor in that. That's just me being a cynic.
Right.
But, a pessimist is just a well-informed optimist.
All right, stand by, Philip. You and I have to take our final break for this hour. Exonation, our guest this hour is Philip Humphries. To find out about Philip, just Google his name, Philip A. Humphries, and you'll find him on TikTok. You'll find him on X. You'll find him on LinkedIn. You'll find him, well, he's all over the place. And this is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell. We'll be back with Philip on the other side of this break as we wrap down this hour here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in St. Catharines, Ontario. And you're listening to us on the CanCon Broadcast Network and your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ AM, who stream us at classic1220.ca.
Hi, this is Eric Rawls of Cosmoverse.com, and you're listening to Rob McConnell in the X Zone.
Hi, this is Blade Runner, and you are listening to Canada's #1 paranormal radio show, The X Zone, with Rob McConnell.
Hi, I'm Laura Sabrin of Feast to Fields Organic Vineyards in Jordan, and you're listening to Canada's #1 paranormal radio show, The X Zone, with Rob McConnell.
Hi, my name is Lady Ashley, the White Witch of Niagara-on-the-Lake, and you're listening to Canada's #1 paranormal talk radio show, The X Zone, with Rob McConnell.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
July 47 in the desert heat, a rancher found strange wreckage scattered at his feet. Silver like no metal anybody knew, whispers in the darkness said, could it all be true? From the skies above old New Mexico, something crashed where the cold winds blow. Roswell nights still call our name, and the world has never been the same. Roswell, secrets in the sand, questions buried by the hands of power, silence, fear, and lies. Still we search the midnight skies. Roswell, echoes never die. Truth keeps shining from the sky, from the desert floor to eternity. Roswell lives in mystery. The papers screamed we found a flying disc, then the story changed, they called it weather tricks. Military trucks rolled through the town at night, taking pieces far away beyond the public sight. Witnesses remembered all they saw, strange debris that defied every law. Some stayed silent, some spoke late, haunted by the weight of fate. Late at night beneath the desert moon, something tied to fate. But deep inside, we all still know there's more to Roswell than they show. Roswell, secrets in the sand, questions buried by the hands of power, silence, fear, and lies. Still, we search the midnight skies. Roswell, echoes never die. Truth keeps shining from the sky, from the desert floor to eternity. Roswell lives in mystery. Now across the years, the story still survives in books and dreams and witnesses alive. And every time the night sky starts to glow, we remember what came down in Roswell. Roswell, calling through the years, through the doubt and through the fears. Maybe someday we will know what crashed in old New Mexico. On the X-Zone, we search the night, chasing hidden truths beyond the light, where legends, secrets, and mysteries flow. From the stars above to Roswell below.
All right, that's Roswell Wreckage. And if you'd like to get a copy of that song, just send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour, Philip A. Humphries. He's found all over the internet. And first of all, Philip, thanks for joining us tonight. Always great talking to you. And you and I were talking earlier about the religious aspect of disclosure. And I wonder exactly how much information the Vatican really knows. After all, they have their own observatory. And what would happen to any major religious philosophy on the planet if and when our little space buddies finally decide to let themselves be known to the mass and the populations?
I think it'll have some detrimental effect, depending on precisely what we learn. Will determine what that impact is like, or the religions may, have to shift a little bit, but will survive, and I think they will survive. But definitely there will be an impact. The Vatican been around a long time. I'm certainly certain that in their classified files, they've got a wealth of information on this subject. And like you said, they do have their own observatory. It's in the southwest part of the U.S. Yeah, there'll be an impact. It just depends on what we learn.
I wonder if anybody has ever questioned why the Vatican requires an observatory.
Yeah, that is a good question. Like I just mentioned, I think that they've, in their files, they've got a wealth of information that they've had for a long time. And they may not have understood everything technologically, but today I'm certain they do.
Well, maybe you and I should plan a trip to the Vatican and see if the Pope will answer these questions for us.
Yeah, I don't think he'd see much humor in that.
I don't think the Swiss Guard would let us get very close, or the Vatican police. So let's just scratch that off the bucket list.
Yeah, that might be good, yeah.
How about other parts of the paranormal? What is your take? For example, Bigfoot.
I think that what's the population of the U.S. is like 350-some million. It's 35 million plus in Canada. Everyone's got a smartphone in their hip pocket with excellent movie-grade cameras, and yet nothing. Zippo. You could say the same about a lot of the UFO stuff. Plus, if there's Bigfoot living in the woods, they die at some point. What happens to the remains? How come there's no bones and skeletal remains? That are,
And no reports of Bigfoot or photos of Bigfoot or photo cadavers of Bigfoot have ever been released by a forest ranger. And these guys, they go through the woods on a daily basis. As well as far as I know, there has been no webcam footage of anything resembling a Bigfoot taken by any law enforcement vehicle.
That's true. And then there's all these trail cameras that people have, and drones with cameras and infrared. And yet we don't have any substantive proof.
Is it possible that we as a human race want there to be something more, want there to be a mystery that hasn't been solved yet, because we need to believe that there's more to this life than just being born and then dying? Because after all, the moment we're conceived is the moment we start to die.
That's true. I think you've hit on something there. Yes, I think it is a very human thing to want to believe, whether it's, in medieval times wanted to believe in fairies, or whether it's today and you want to believe in Bigfoot and flying saucers and aliens from outer space. I think there's just innate desire to believe in those things. If you talk to any real UFO enthusiast, you can tell they want to believe.
Yeah.
Because we've been jaded by our law enforcement careers, we are natural born cynics. And
is it that we've been jaded, or that we hold things to a higher standard? For example, where's the evidence?
Right. And that's a better way of saying it.
Yeah.
Yes.
People say, Rob, why do you do your show? You sound like a skeptic. And the truth is, I want to believe. And I believe by having guests like you on the show and other people that we have on the show who are Bigfoot investigators, ghost researchers, UFO researchers, ufologists, and other experts in these fields, that I may finally get the proof that I need to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that these things are real. So it's not that I'm a skeptic. I'm a believer who is using my platform, my radio show, getting this message across the world that, hey, if you've got evidence and you want to prove your point, contact me, X-Zone at xzoneradiotv.com. I want to believe. I really do.
Me too. I really do want to believe. But, like you just said, where's the evidence? With all the technology that's in everybody's jeans pocket, where's the pictures? Where's the video?
More questions than answers. And then you've got the argument that I proposed to a couple of people that I know at NASA, and one of them is a hardened believer in reverse engineering. And I said, okay, if in fact there has been reverse engineering on crashed UFOs, then why do we still need solid rocket propellant to get anywhere? Why do we have to make such a big deal about going on to the other side of the moon if we already have this technology? What's the sense? Why are we spending so much money on these type of things when we could feed the hungry, clothe the people who need clothes, build homes, and do betterment instead of wasting all these billions of dollars in spaceflight if we already have the technology?
Right. And if it came to light that they did have the technology and they suppressed it, boy, would that be bad news for a lot of politicians and a lot of corporate people.
Isn't that the truth? Well, my friend, the time has come when I must say so long for tonight. I want to thank you ever so much for joining us. Always a great pleasure talking to you. And Exo Nation, if you'd like to find out more about my guest this hour, Philip A. Humphries. He's all over the internet. Philip, thank you so much. Blessings to you, and be safe, my friend.
You too, sir. Thank you very much.
I'll be back on the other side of this break as hour number 2 of the X-Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on the CanCom Broadcast Network, and Classic1220.ca continues right after this break.
Anybody knew, whispers in the dark said, could it all be true? From the skies above old New Mexico. Something crashed where the cold winds blow. Roswell nights still call our name, and the world has never been the same.